Man, I've always said, man, Angel Reese got a lot of people's attention. A lot of people are watching her, and everything that she does has been scrutinized and put up under a microscope. And Angel Reese, as time today, Angel Reese claps back at her critics. But we're going to talk about all this here next on the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Well, guys, man, Angel Reese, man, she be giving some classic clapbacks. And she just gave off another classic clapback. And we're going to talk about that after a word from our sponsor.
SeatGeek, the official sponsor of Simply Ball Dropping Podcast, the #1 rated ticketing app, over 28 million downloads, 70,000 plus events from concerts to sports. All your tickets across the web, all in one place, rated 1 to 10. Green means good, red means bad, and all your tickets are backed by your buyer's guarantee. And remember, use my promo code SimplyBallDropping at checkout to get $20 off your purchase.
Well, guys, you know Angel Reese, man, the 22-year-old superstar of the WNBA. Everything she does, it gets put under a microscope. It could be some good things that Angel Reese does. It could be some bad things that Angel Reese does. But anything that Angel Reese does, it gets put under a microscope and it gets scrutinized to the fullest. Ever since Angel Reese came out of LSU with a national championship and the things that she did in the national championship game has been heavily scrutinized. And ever since then, a lot of things have changed for Angel Reese. Angel Reese gets drafted in the WNBA, the #7 pick for the Chicago Sky. And Angel Reese had a tremendous rookie campaign. She led all WNBA players in rebounding average at 13.1 rebounds a game. She was leading with the overall rebounds until she got hurt 6 games to go in the regular season. And then A'ja Wilson overtook her for the most rebounds in the WNBA. And then in the offseason, Angel Reese was out in the streets getting to the bag, getting these marketing deals, getting these brand deals, and doing things with these companies and partnering up and making a tremendous impact. Also, Angel Reese started her own podcast called Unapologetically Angel. And that podcast took off, and a lot of people saying to themselves, why is Angel Reese doing a podcast? She should be focusing on basketball. She should be trying to, get her skills correct. She should go in the lab and work on her game. Angel Reese been working on her game, and it showed through her play with Unrivaled. So then, there was video footage out there of Angel Reese working out. A lot of people was like, oh man, that's fake. But then she started working with Lisa Leslie, and her game has improved tremendously. We saw that in Unrivaled. But she has this successful podcast. What a lot of people said that the podcast was going to be a failure. Angel Reese's podcast was #1 on Spotify for 2024. Angel Reese, a 22-year-old, living her life, bringing on guests who she wants to bring on. And now people are having problems with the guests that Angel Reese are bringing on her podcast. Angel Reese can bring anybody who she wants on her podcast. Do people tell all these other people not to have so-and-so on their podcast? Why are you having this person on your podcast? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? This is Angel Reese's podcast. Angel Reese can have whoever she wants on her podcast, regardless if you like it or not. You can't sit there and dictate who you want to see on Angel Reese's podcast. Angel Reese is for the culture, and majority of her guests are culturally known, and a lot of people relate to a lot of people that come on her podcast. But a lot of people are complaining about the guests that she's supposed to be having on her podcast, the list that they see when she goes to her X account and asks these certain guests these questions. And a lot of people go in the comment section and talk about, you shouldn't have this person on your podcast. It's just going to hurt your brand. It's just going to hurt your name and things like that. Angel Reese is doing what Angel Reese wants to do. And that's just like I said, Angel Reese gets criticized for everything that she does. First, the podcast starts off hot. Everybody's loving it. And then all of a sudden, now you got the critics out there talking about, oh, Angel Reese, why are you having this person on your podcast? Why is this person on your podcast? And then see, now there's this narrative out there that people are unsubscribing to Angel Reese's podcast. That is a lie. That's a narrative out there. Then there's another narrative out there that, her podcast is going to be taken down. That's another lie. Then there's a narrative out there talking about, the guest that she's supposed to be having on, they had a problem with her, was going to do an interview with the baby. They said that was controversial. Everybody was going in the comment section about, you should do that. Why is everybody so concerned on who Angel Reese brings on her podcast? Angel Reese's podcast is successful. Angel Reese is doing what Angel Reese wants to do. This is outside of basketball. So what does the guest that she want to have on her show matter to the people that watch it? If you don't like the podcast, if you don't want to watch the podcast, you don't have to watch the podcast. You don't have to be subscribed to her podcast. And basically, Angel Reese has came out and said it herself. Angel Reese has the most classic responses and clapbacks to all her critics. But before we get off into what Angel Reese said, right now, I'm at 14,021 subscribers. We just went over 14,000. Now we're on the road to 15,000. If you're new to this channel and you're just now coming across any of these videos, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. And with your support, we'll be able to get to that 15,000 sooner than later. So let's get off into what Angel Reese had to say to her critics with another instant classic clapback. Let's take a look at this article. Angel Reese fires back at critics with unfiltered message. Chicago Sky star forward Angel Reese delivered a powerful, unapologetic response to her critics after facing negative reaction to her podcast. The 22-year-old followed in the footsteps of several other athletes and launched her podcast channel Unapologetically Angel in September of 2024. Months after it debuted, the former LSU standout found herself inundated with hate comments targeting her choice of guests. In response, the WNBA star took to X to shut down the negativity, delivering a candid message that made it clear she wouldn't be swayed by the hate. She said, "This is my podcast, bleep bleep, or don't watch. Thank you," she wrote. This is what it really said. "This is my podcast. Shut the F up or don't watch. Thank you." And she's blowing all her critics and haters a kiss. Just another instant clapback by Angel Reese. And I'm glad that she came out there to set the record straight, letting people know this is my podcast. You don't like what I'm doing on my podcast, you don't have to watch. You don't have to support. That's not going to hurt her because there's a lot of people that watch her podcast and the numbers show. Like I've always said, men lie, women lie, stats don't. See everybody in the comments section, #salute. If you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor. Turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. Make sure you subscribe. Oh, and I forgot. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. Shout out to my man Prince from I Am Zo Media for the shirt, What Are We Doing? And that's going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. We're going to catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.